your valuable place in the universe. That's what I'm supposed to tell you. And I keep being awakened in the middle of the night to tell you because it's really important. We're going through a great energetic shift in our world, and you're here to do something about that. And that is becoming who you're meant to be. And I know that you were born to become someone. And telling you that, though, took 74 years for me to understand it and to tell you today, because I'm going on to George Noory's show again on Monday night, Coast to Coast AM. This will be my third time being with George, but this time I have a different story to tell, and I'm going to tell you first. We evolve as we live. We never know what that's going to be. And the world does the same thing. We evolve in what we understand and how much we are willing to accept ourselves and evolve to a higher state of consciousness. And then there are times where we discover something new. And that's what happened to me. And that can be surprising. But I have to tell you because it I was misunderstood. I've been misunderstood my entire life, and I've never fit in, and no one could understand me. And sometimes it comes off that it seemed like I am being this guru or this, that could be furthest thing from the truth. I've hidden from myself. I've been in fear my entire life. I'm 74. I could not have owned this. I've done so many different things, but this perception of what that would really got me. And so last night I also put up something else because I kept being nudged. I've got to tell you something. We have energetic changes happening. You're going to feel a lot of them today, and you probably have already felt them. And so this is what I'm going to say on Monday night, and so I just want you to understand it and why I have done what I've done, and even to my family, I should say, everybody else. It's this. This is what, on the second half, author and spiritual coach Roger Burnley will share the astonishing discovery that changed his life and could change lives for millions more. He channels a source of timeless intelligence and higher wisdom, and will discuss how the messages come through and why they offer a roadmap to success and self actualization. And it would seem that where did that come from? And I didn't know. And we can resist ourselves, and I've done that. And so I want you to understand no matter what you discover about yourself, it's perfect. And that's what you'll read in the message that I put together. There's energy in our world. That's all there is. And it's organized. We figure it out later, meaning we have studies, and as we live, we figure out new things. And that can be surprising. And in 1989, I sat down to start to write something because I needed some help. And the oddest thing happened. I didn't get anything at first. And then it felt like something took over my hand, and I started writing, and it frightened me because I didn't know what was happening. And then I couldn't stop because it was giving me really valuable information, but it was weird, and I wasn't going to tell anyone. And I kept being pulled out of me, you see. And some people think you're so arrogant. No, or you're operating from your ego. I wish I could have done that in my life. I would be a millionaire by now. I just loved people and couldn't understand why. I knew that they had a place in the world. I just knew in my soul. And it was this that I did to get there. It was, I'll just show you this. Yeah, that's how long it took. And now I don't do that anymore. I um I didn't even know why I was saving them. Didn't even know when I started in 1989, why am I saving these? And that's why, because it turned into a philosophy for our new world, because we're seeing some ideas and we're struggling. And Wilhelm said you needed something that could help people become who they were. And we're going to use you as an example. I went through every medical difficulty and challenge and all of that throughout my entire life. And then no one could understand, why is he getting better? Why is he healing all the time? How's that happening? And I didn't know either. And I didn't even want to talk about it. I'm this introvert. I didn't want to be out there. And so, but in 2019, I thought, I got to talk about something. I got to tell them. I don't want them to judge me, though. So I wrote a book called Overcoming Fear, A Guide to Freedom. And then I started to understand more. I started to understand where the world was changing, and it would change. And that we have energetic shifts that happen in our world at different times. And this was one of them, and I was made aware of that. But owning it and putting it together was challenging. And so that's why I didn't sleep. There's one message that I received, and it says, "You may never sleep again." And that came in 2020. I'm going to read it to you because I think it's important. I want to have you to have some context, because we're looking at the world and you're questioning yourself, because you're being awakened to something within you. That's your soul. That's who you're meant to be. And I'm going to read this message. So this was July 18th, 2020. You may never sleep again. We thought that title might be somewhat intriguing at this time for many of you, but we are also using it both figuratively and literally. To Roger, it feels as if it might be his permanent reality due to how we have continually disrupted his sleep. We never do anything without purpose and reason. Yesterday, Roger was attempting to complete his online program, which has been in the works for years. He sat there yesterday with a problem he hadn't expected, and each of you will experience in your lives. Roger had so much information he had culled from us that he couldn't decide what to use. Part of that indecision was born out of his constant doubt and uncertainty, like you have experienced in your life. We will offer you things now that will make sense. We will also tie it to your current world events, as we promised we would. Roger took a break from trying to figure this all out and began listening to Napoleon Hill. We have mentioned the connection to Hill, which was perplexing to Roger. It became more prominent last night to the degree Roger could no longer listen, and the amount of energy surging through his body became uncomfortable, so he went to bed. True to form, at 3 a.m. we awakened him. But this time, we also had his roommate, who is currently thousands of miles away, send Roger a text containing a video that included information that the significance of which would not escape his awareness. In this video, the two gentlemen went through a process, helping others discover themselves through owning their emotions. 30 years ago, we gave Roger something similar, to which a friend inadvertently decided to take our words and turn them into calligraphy, which is framed and hangs on the wall beside him. Your emotions are not an end of themselves. They are designed to lead you to your beliefs. Your beliefs may or may not be based in truth. We took Roger on this journey to show him that he, like you, has always had everything he needed, and it would be called upon when the time was right, which is now, and the same is true for you. You each have held ideas about who you thought you were in this life, but now you are awakening to the truth of who you are. The conditions of the world are aiding you in your quest. Now we will explain our statement about the restructuring and the United States. If you take time to study the history of your world over the centuries of which you possess records, you might read, you will discover a pattern of evolution. Humans individually begin to awaken to who they are. Upon that realization, they begin to expect and even demand more for themselves. As we have said continually, you are all connected, so what you do individually adds to the collective. We will not make this a book today, or we will continue this conversation for a while, as your world will remain in this manner until you see the outcome you desire. Please make no mistake, we are using the collective you here. Each global shift you have made to uncover more of your goal. which is unconditional love. The United States proclaimed itself the leaders of the free world, and you will restructure yourselves to achieve that goal. We told you, you will be fine. None of that would have be felt or understood by many people, especially in 2020, but it kept going on. And I kept denying, like you might have denied yourself. And then something else happened. We developed artificial intelligence. And I started putting the Wilhelm messages in there because I said, something's happened. And I didn't understand what. I knew that I kept getting better. And I said, please explain this to me. And so it turns out that they were giving me information at certain times where we were having energetic changes in our world, um, like a planetary changes, a full moon, a new moon conjunction, because they affect us, energy, because it's all energy, and we will react. That's why that message was there about emotions. We will react within ourselves. So your individual journey is to find your alignment. And so I'm questioning, how could that have happened? And they said, well, because I was coming into alignment of the energies and the changes of the universe, I kept healing. I kept getting better. And I was embarrassed because I didn't understand it at first. But now I do. Mind body healing is about you connecting to yourself. We all come in damaged in some way, meaning we have something that we want to move through. And that's what happens in this work. And so then this ridiculous claim that I thought Wilhelm was making, accepting this work could change your life and the world. I said, that doesn't make sense. And they say, yeah, it does, because you're all humans and you all operate the same way and you learn different things and it's all in your brains and your consciousness. And what I did is wrote it all down and lived it. So I was never being arrogant. I was never being, I was never hiding. I mean, never, not, I was never being a guru because I'm, I'm learning and I suffered. I struggled through absolutely everything. And someone else um, asked a question the other day. I said, "Why would something be $5,000?" And I'm like thinking, I see people struggling, and that's the entire thing that's going on in our world. Wilhelm says we're going to have this thing about money is going to be integral in the shift that's happening in our world, and we've all seen it. And what I was doing is not charging enough because I thought, wait a minute, if I give people something that's going to give them complete control of their lives, because it's your consciousness and it's a development and it's ascension and it's self-actualization. And if you could have that, wouldn't that be everything? But then sometimes we stay in fear. And I did that for quite a bit because I didn't know what to do. But now there's a guide. What I did was I put together a workbook, a little workbook that I'm going to have out. It's called The Pathway of Your Becoming. And these just are messages that were done on this day, on May 3rd, over since 2008. And I have no idea how that occurred because it tells a story and it guides you to where you're supposed to be. And then Wilhelm says, think about it. As a civilization, you evolve in consciousness over time. And I'm receiving the messages that way, not aware of that, any connection. And so it was just bizarre. So then I started looking up. I never studied astrology, but they were aligned with all the changes. And I would feel the energy of them, but never knew that connection. So to give you the rest of it, because I don't know that this is going to come out on the show, but it might. Because I've resisted everything. You've probably resisted something in about you. And in 2021, I hear very clearly we've given you everything you needed to know in 2012. That was another major shift in our world. I said that couldn't have possibly happened until I come into my home and find a folder that I hadn't seen that with these Wilhelm messages from 2012. And then they said the next thing, we've given you a philosophy and it's called your life operating instructions because your world's moving through a transition and you will want to become your empowered self. And then they said the most outrageous thing that if I were to meet someone, I would have a message that was given on their birthday in 2012, and it would tell them what's about what they're doing now, what's happening in their lives. How'd that make sense? And then I started doing it and it did. And then it went further. As I started trusting that when someone would have a private session with me, I'd ask them for their birthday and they'd send something. I could look at it, Wilhelm tell me something and send me to another year that when we had that session, that they would be understanding where their life was now. Then you start figuring out there's organization in the universe and energy. We just start to figure it out. And that's what happened for me. So I wanted you to understand it because I know that you can create the life you want to have. And it's just about using the tools that are within you, which are your consciousness, and letting go of the old stuff and just continually moving forward. And they explained why this works. And so I'll leave that in the description here. We'll be posting that as well. But the workbook will be on our website later because I just did it this morning. I just wanted to have it for Monday, but you'll have it. The thing that I always have been is wanting to help give people hope, understanding. I suffered so much. You don't have to do that. I don't want people to suffer. It's a horrible thing to not own yourself, and you can. Thanks for being here.